Welcome to this walkthrough of the Infinium Controller Web Interface, your guide to unlocking the full power of your Infinium system. There are three parts to the Infinium system: a controller, a transmitter, and a receiver. Today, we will be covering the web interface of the controller, which also configures the connected transmitter. The front panel of the Infinium controller gives you quick access to key settings, like setting your audio source and adjusting input gain, perfect for simple on-the-fly changes. We will go over the front interface in a separate video. For advanced configuration and system management, you'll want to use the built-in web user interface accessible from any modern web browser. Out of the box, the Infinium server is set to DHCP mode. That means it automatically requests an IP address from your network and displays that address on the front screen. If there's no DHCP server available, don't worry. The unit will assign itself a link local IP address, allowing direct connection from a computer with no router required. To access the web UI, connect your computer to the same network as the Infinium controller, or plug directly into the control port on the back. Then open your browser. Google Chrome is recommended. Then type in the IP address shown on the front panel. When you see the login screen, use the default credentials. Username is admin, all lowercase, and the password is admin, all lowercase. We strongly recommend changing these after your first login to keep your system secure. Once logged in, you'll see four main tabs in the top left corner: Dashboard, Controller Management, Transmitter Management, and Logout. Let's go through each of them. The dashboard shows the overall status of the controller and transmitter units. Under the Controllers section, under Audio, this displays which input is active: Dante, a combination XLR or quarter-inch jack, or terminal blocks, commonly referred to as Phoenix blocks, and finally, a test tone. Note here, the terminal blocks and XLR jack support balanced line level, unbalanced line level, microphone level, and phantom-powered microphone level. The test tone is a 1 kHz sine wave audio signal. Under Network, this lists the IP addresses for the Control and Dante ports. And finally, under General, this shows the controller model and firmware version. In the Transmitter section, under Broadcast, this setting shows whether the audio is being transmitted in stereo or dual mono. In stereo mode, the receiver will see a single channel to choose from, and you will hear true stereo sound with distinct audio in the left and right ears. In dual mono mode, two separate channels appear on the receiver, each delivering mono audio, the same sound, in both ears. This allows flexibility depending upon your application, whether it's music, speech, or multiple sources. Under Device Info, we can see the transmitter's current firmware version. Controller Management. Within the Controller Management tab, you'll find a drop-down with three main sections: Audio Settings, Network Settings, and General Settings. Let's look at each in detail. Under Audio Settings, you'll see Input Source List. This shows which source is selected for each input and the current gain level. To expose more settings, click on View Details. If you click on View Details for Input 1, you'll see a section expand with all the configurable settings specific to that input. Now, Input 1 and 2 have very similar settings, but keep in mind, Channel 2 doesn't include the XLR quarter-inch combo input or the mic preamp and phantom power options. So for this tutorial, we'll just focus on Input 1. Under Input 1 left, we see the VU meter for input number 1. This represents raw, unadjusted signal coming into the unit from the external source. The digital gain setting adjusts the incoming audio from your external source. Ideally, the source should be set so it enters the controller at 0 dB without needing further adjustment. We're recommending using digital gain only when external volume control isn't possible. Increasing gain here can also amplify unwanted noise, so use it sparingly. Input source is where you select the audio input for channel 1. Available options include a combination XLR and quarter-inch jack, a 3-pin terminal block, also known as a Phoenix block, or Dante network audio, or a built-in test tone, or you can disable this input. The terminal block supports microphones requiring phantom power, and balanced line level signals. If you select microphone as the source, two additional settings become available: mic gain and phantom power. Keep in mind, the phantom power provided is not a full 48 volts. It supplies a lower bias voltage, around 10 volts or so, suitable for certain microphone types. Audio preset is where we can set some basic equalization and compression DSP functions. Under the preset selection, we can choose flat, which applies no equalization or compression to the signal; hearing assist, voice, or music, which apply preset settings for high-pass, low-pass filter, and compression settings; and a custom selection. When this setting is chosen, the high-pass filter, low-pass filter, and compression settings become adjustable. It allows you to choose a high-pass filter setting in steps ranging from 31 Hz to 630 Hz, a low-pass filter setting in steps ranging from 3.5 kHz to 16 kHz, and a compression ratio of either 1 to 0, no compression, 1 to 5 to 1, and 2 to 1. Under network settings, we see network interfaces. This shows how the two RJ45 ports are currently configured and whether or not they are in use. To configure these, click on View Details. If we are viewing details for the control port, in the General Settings tab, you can change the host name. This is how your controller will appear on the network when you're viewing devices by host name, making it easier to identify each device. Under IP assignment, you have a few options. Choose DHCP and the device will automatically get an IP address from your network's DHCP server. If there's no DHCP server, no problem. The unit will automatically assign itself a link local IP address. That means you can still connect directly from your computer without needing a router. Or, if you prefer, you can manually set a static IP address to fit your specific network setup. If we are viewing the details for the Dante port, in the General Settings tab, you'll find a few important configuration options. If your transmitter is connected directly to the Dante port, meaning it's not going through a PoE-enabled switch, you'll need to enable PoE here. This ensures the transmitter receives the power it needs to operate. You'll also be able to check the current PoE status to see whether it's active or inactive. Under IP configuration, under the IP assignment tab, you have a few options. You can choose DHCP and the device will automatically get an IP address from your network's DHCP server. If there's no DHCP server, no problem. The unit will automatically assign itself a link local IP address. That means you can still connect directly from your computer without needing a router. Or, if you prefer, you can manually set a static IP address to fit your specific network setup. Now let's look at general settings. Here we can observe and change more general settings for the controller and the transmitter. Under device info, it shows the model number and hardware version of the main circuit board, as well as the software version currently installed on the unit. Under device control, we have a couple of options. Reboot device. If the device needs to be rebooted remotely, we can do that here. Under factory reset, we can also return the unit to its out-of-the-box state. Please note that a factory reset leaves IP settings unchanged, so the unit can still be accessed remotely after this function is executed. All other user settings will be returned to the out-of-the-box state. Under software update, if a software update is available for the unit, you can update it here. The latest software, when it becomes available, will be found on the Williams AV website on the product page under the firmware tab. Under front panel, we have some options. To lock out the front panel so adjustments cannot be made, the lockout switch can be selected. Also, the screen can be set to turn off or go dark after a specific period of time. Once the unit has been set up and verified to work, a short timeout is recommended to maximize display life. Admin password. This is where the web login username and password can be changed. We highly recommend changing these after initial login to secure the device. API key. This is also referred to as an API token. This is a secure identifier required for HTML-based control. It must be included in the HTTP command packets to authenticate and authorize access. When sending commands via tools like curl, the API key should be passed in the request header or body, depending upon the system's requirements. Transmitter Management. Within the Transmitter Management tab, you'll see that you can view and change various settings that only apply to the transmitter unit itself. Let's look at each in detail. When a single stereo channel is chosen, both channels are used as one stereo channel that can be selected and heard in the receiver. This may be useful for applications like musicals or theater venues where true stereo is desired. When dual mono channels is selected, the receiver will now have two channels to choose from, each with independent audio from the source selected for that channel. This may be desirable for sources such as someone speaking. Transmit power is where you can specify the signal strength of the transmitter. It may be desirable to make adjustments to the transmitter power output depending upon how close transmitters are to each other or their proximity to other equipment such as 2.4 GHz access points. Based on the environment, some experimentation with these settings may be necessary for optimization. Sample rate is where you can specify the output sample rate being sent to the receiving devices. Please note that while 16 kHz and 24 kHz are supported in the Auracast standard, a 48 kHz choice is also available, but support for this sample rate may be device dependent. Under Channel 1 configuration, channel name defines what name will be displayed on the receiver for that channel. The channel name must be 4 to 12 characters long. A warning is displayed if the text entered does not fit this rule. Under Enable Broadcast, if desired, the broadcast for each channel can be shut off independently. This may be desired when no audio source is present, or if a space has open microphones that are always on and the broadcast needs to be turned off, or for situations where a secure meeting is going on. When the audio encryption switch is enabled, a 4-digit PIN code can be entered to secure the channel from unauthorized use. On the receiver, this PIN code will need to be entered by the user in order to hear the audio from that channel. Under Device Info, we can view the status of the transmitter. Audio source shows which controller is managing this transmitter. Device status shows whether this transmitter is active or broadcasting, or it's disabled or not broadcasting. This status reflects the status of the Enable Broadcast switch that was selected in the Channel Configuration section. MAC address displays the MAC address for this transmitter. Note, this address is assigned by the manufacturer and cannot be changed. Hardware version shows the main circuit board revision level. This information may be requested during troubleshooting. And finally, firmware version shows the current firmware version installed on this transmitter. Under Device Control, we can view the status of the transmitter. The status LED switch determines whether the status LED on the unit is active or off. Switching the status LED off may be useful if the transmitter is in a dark room and the status LED could be distracting. Reboot device cycles the power of the device. This could be useful if the device needs to be rebooted without being in the same room as the device is located. And finally, factory reset reverts most user configuration settings back to the default state. Please note that a factory reset leaves IP settings unchanged, so the unit can still be accessed remotely after this function is executed. All other user settings will be returned to the out-of-the-box state. Under the Firmware Update section, if a firmware update is available for the unit, you can update it here. Under Logout, clicking on Logout ends this web session. Thank you for watching our Infinium Web Interface tutorial. We encourage you to watch our other tutorial videos, including the Infinium Front Panel tutorial, to learn more about using the Infinium system. As always, if you have any questions or need support, you can reach the Tech Services and Design Department by emailing us at techservices@williamsav.com, or for any sales inquiries, you can email info@williamsav.com.